The giant mansion stood in complete silence, the kind of silence that made every servant nervous. Expensive chandeliers sparkled above marble floors, luxury paintings covered the walls, and every room looked perfect, but no amount of money could remove the sadness living inside the Harrison family. Ethan Harrison, one of the youngest millionaires in the country, had everything people dreamed about: private jets, luxury cars, businesses worth billions, and a mansion larger than most hotels. But none of it mattered anymore. Ever since his wife Isabella passed away during childbirth 3 years ago, the mansion had become colder every single day. The only person Ethan truly cared about now was his little son, Noah. But there was one heartbreaking problem. Noah never laughed. Not once. Doctors said he was healthy. Specialists from around the world came to examine him. Child psychologists tried therapy, games, music, and medication. Nothing worked. The little boy barely spoke, barely smiled, and spent most of his days staring quietly out the window as if happiness belonged to another world. Every nanny Ethan hired eventually quit. Some said Noah scared them with his silence. Others said the pressure inside the mansion was unbearable. Ethan slowly lost hope. Then one rainy afternoon, a young woman named Lily Carter walked through the mansion gates holding a tiny suitcase. She wasn't glamorous or highly educated like the previous nannies. Her shoes were old, and her clothes were simple, but there was warmth in her eyes that immediately confused the head butler. "You're here for the nanny position?" he asked suspiciously. Lily nodded nervously. "I know I don't have experience working for wealthy families, but I'm good with children." Upstairs, Ethan barely looked at her during the interview. He was exhausted from disappointment. "My son doesn't talk much," he said coldly. "If you're expecting an easy job, leave now." Lily glanced toward little Noah sitting silently near the fireplace holding a toy car without playing with it. Something about the sadness in his eyes broke her heart instantly. "I'm not afraid of difficult children," she answered softly. Ethan sighed. "You can start tomorrow." The first week was harder than Lily imagined. Noah ignored almost everything she said. When she read stories, he stayed silent. When she brought toys, he stared at the floor. Even during meals, he barely reacted. The servants whispered that she wouldn't last another week. But unlike the others, Lily didn't treat Noah like a broken child who needed fixing. She simply stayed near him. Quietly. Patiently. Sometimes she sat beside him drawing cartoons. Sometimes she talked about random things even when he never answered. One afternoon she noticed Noah secretly watching birds outside the window. "You know," she whispered playfully, "I think that bird is spying on us." Noah didn't respond, but she noticed the tiniest movement near his lips. Almost a smile. Days passed, and slowly, Noah began following Lily around the mansion. He still didn't talk much, but for the first time in years, he seemed curious about someone. Ethan noticed the change immediately. One evening he found Noah sitting beside Lily in the library while she made silly animal noises during a storybook. The little boy wasn't laughing, but he was listening. Ethan stood silently behind the door, feeling something unfamiliar: hope. But the true miracle happened on a stormy Saturday night. Heavy rain crashed against the mansion windows while the electricity briefly flickered. Ethan was upstairs in his office during an important business call when he suddenly heard something impossible echo through the house. Laughter. A child's laughter. Real laughter. Ethan froze. His heart nearly stopped. For a second he thought he imagined it. But then it came again, louder this time. Tiny, uncontrollable laughter filled the mansion halls. Ethan dropped his phone and ran downstairs faster than he ever had in his life. The servants stared in shock as he rushed past them. The sound led him into the living room. And when he opened the door, he couldn't believe his eyes. Lily was lying flat on the carpet pretending to be a broken robot. She rolled across the floor making ridiculous beeping noises while her legs kicked awkwardly in the air. Noah stood beside the couch laughing so hard he could barely breathe. Tears rolled down his cheeks from pure joy as he pointed at Lily's terrible performance. "Robot broken. Robot broken," he shouted between laughs. Ethan stood frozen at the doorway, unable to move. For 3 years, this mansion had been filled with silence and grief. And now his son, the boy doctors couldn't help, the boy who hadn't laughed since birth, was laughing harder than Ethan had ever heard. Lily looked up and suddenly realized Ethan was watching. Embarrassed, she quickly sat up and brushed dust from her uniform. "I'm so sorry, sir," she said nervously. "I was just trying to make him smile." But Ethan couldn't answer. His eyes filled with tears as Noah ran toward him still giggling. "Daddy." The robot fell down. For the first time in years, Ethan dropped to his knees and hugged his son tightly. The servants watching from the hallway quietly wiped their own tears. That night changed everything. Slowly, laughter returned to the mansion. Noah began speaking more every day. He played games with Lily, told jokes during dinner, and even started attending school activities. The cold silence haunting the Harrison mansion finally disappeared. But something else changed too. Ethan began noticing Lily differently. It wasn't just the kindness she showed Noah. It was the warmth she brought into every room. The way she treated people with respect no matter their status. The way she healed broken hearts without even realizing it. One evening, Ethan found Lily alone in the kitchen washing dishes after Noah had fallen asleep. "You changed my son's life," he said quietly. Lily smiled softly. "No. He just needed someone to stop treating him like a problem." Ethan stared at her for a moment before whispering, "And maybe I needed that too." Months later, the mansion no longer felt like a prison filled with memories. It finally felt like a home again. Noah's laughter became the heartbeat of the house, and every servant knew the reason behind the miracle was the young nanny who once rolled across the floor pretending to be a broken robot. Sometimes the greatest miracles don't come from money, doctors, or power. Sometimes they come from simple kindness, patience, and love when someone needs it most. And Ethan Harrison learned that the day his son finally laughed. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more emotional and unforgettable stories that inspire millions around the world.